I did not kill Joffrey, but I wish that I had.
This is Tyrion Lannister, delivering one of the most powerful moments in Game of Thrones. But when you take a step back, you start to realize this speech is just one part of something much bigger. Because Season 4 isn't just good television, it's the moment Game of Thrones became unique in its storytelling. So today I want to go through it all, connect the dots and make you remember how this trial, along with every death, twist and turn, created peak Game of Thrones. And by the end you might see this character or this scene in a completely new way. Let's start from the beginning. The season begins with Tywin Lannister melting down ice, the great Valyrian steel sword of House Stark. As much as it is a visual representation of the fall of one family and the rise of another, this scene actually does something more significant. It serves as the complete counterpart to how the season ends, with the Lannisters divided and Tywin dead on the dirty floor, but we will get to that later. Episode 1 introduces us to many of the main storylines and characters of the season. We continue to witness Tyrion's love for Shae and his uphill battle against the rest of the world. We meet Oberyn, instantly charming, dangerous and unforgettable. Jon Snow keeps struggling to prove himself at the wall. The odd couple of Arya and the Hound tries to survive. Daenerys Targaryen grapples with her dragons, and of course, King Joffrey continues to remind everyone why he is the most hated man in Westeros.
For a 40-year-old knight with one hand, how can you protect me with that?
This scene is great, because it captures the very complex nature of the Lannister family. They're powerful, ruthless, and constantly at odds with each other. Jaime's caught in the middle, torn between family loyalty and basic decency, something he would have to choose between later in the season. Because honestly, how do you stand behind someone as emotionally blind as Tywin or cruel as Joffrey? Which brings us to the iconic wedding, Joffrey's behavior, and well, you know what happens next.
He's choking! Oh, the poor boy!
Oh, but it was fantastic filming it, you know. It was so exciting. Because it was such a long scene, it was that wedding feast scene. So, you know, it was such a big scene that this was kind of a nice catharsis that came at the end.
This is where the season truly comes alive. The question of who killed Joffrey hangs over every scene, even though if you're paying attention, the show actually tells you exactly where to look.
But I do know. You don't think I'd let you marry that beast, do you?
But here is the thing, the mystery was never the interesting part. Instead, what struck me the most about Joffrey's death was how it revealed the true nature of everyone in King's Landing. Oberyn's real intentions, Littlefinger's plot, the internal battles in the Lannister family. Everything starts to come into focus more clearly than ever before.
He didn't do it, Cersei.
You've always pitied him. Lannister legacy is the only thing that matters. You started wars to protect this family. What does Tyrion deserve? For lighting that future on fire.
Until this point, Tywin had by far been the most influential character in the show, a puppet master serving as the king even without having the crown. That's why Joffrey's death is so fascinating. For the first time, Tywin doesn't have control. He's surrounded by enemies on all sides, the Tyrells, Oberyn, the Iron Bank, and now even his own family. This leader has always been a man of principle, the house first, the reputation above all. But beneath that, there's very complicated, troublesome feelings towards Tyrion.
The rumors of your demise were unfounded.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Even if he would never admit it, he blames his son for his wife's death, for being different, which is perfectly summarized into words by Oberyn a few episodes later.
All anyone talked about was the monster that had been born to Tywin Lannister. A head twice the size of his body, a tail between his legs, claws, one red eye. We didn't try to hide our disappointment. That's not a monster, I told Cersei. That's just a baby.
So in the end, even if Tywin was clever enough to know that Tyrion was innocent, that a fair trial would see him freed, it didn't really matter, because it has never mattered, which makes his naive view of justice all the more revealing.
I'm performing my sworn duty as Hand of the King. If Tyrion is found guilty, he will be punished accordingly.
He'll be executed.
No, he'll be punished accordingly.
But before we dive deeper into this trial, let's take a quick detour up north to check on the Night's Watch and what's unfolding beyond the Wall. I know there are plenty of other storylines I haven't covered yet, but for this video we're focusing on King's Landing and the Wall. So let's get to it.
We just went over this, boy. Justice can wait. It's not about justice.
In the early seasons, Jon Snow had been this poor outcast trying to do the right thing. A little bit like Tyrion in a sense, with the whole world already against him.
What the hell do you know about being a bastard?
All dwarves are bastards in their father's eyes.
This season is where he really starts finding his stride as a leader. But of course, nothing in Game of Thrones ever comes easy. He's facing an entire wildling army, a fractured Night's Watch, and the painful reality that the woman he loves now stands on the other side.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
While this part of the story mostly builds towards what's coming, it's still important. It reminds us why we root for this bastard in the first place. In a world full of morally grey characters doing terrible things, this small group of men inside the Night's Watch still chooses to fight for something bigger than themselves, to protect the realm no matter the cost. It's a rare glimpse of honor in a show built on betrayal, and it's exactly what makes the battle that follows so unforgettable. However, before we get there, the focus goes back to Tyrion's trial and the brutal duel that follows.
Did you kill King Joffrey?
No.
From a naive drunken outsider to someone who saved the city, learned to care for people and actually tried to make a difference, Tyrion had become a fan-favorite character. And to see him humiliated like this, betrayed by everyone around him, it was brutal.
Pointing a loaded crossbow at Sansa Stark while you tore at her clothes and beat her.
Silence!
In a moment where every character chooses to save themselves, it's his brother who finds a way of changing the outcome. And this is where Jaime's growth really shines. Shaped by his journey with Brienne, the loss of his right hand and his loyalty to Tyrion. Sure, he's done his share of terrible things, but deep down, his moral compass has always aligned more with his brother than anyone else in the family.
Keep your mouth shut. No more outbursts. This will all be over soon.
Right here, I truly believe that Tyrion would do it. Plead for mercy and head for the Wall. But then Shay appears. The one thing he never saw coming, his love chose to turn on him. He'd been so focused on pushing her away to protect her that the thought of her betrayal never even crossed his mind. After everything he's endured, the mockery, the isolation, the loss, this is the breaking point.
I wish to confess.
You wish to confess?
I saved this city and all your worthless lives.
An underrated part of this sequence is how everyone in that courtroom tells a story basically without saying a word. Oberyn's faint smile, entertained that someone finally dares to speak the truth. Marguerite's shock, Laura's confusion, Shay's nervousness, Jaime's heartbreak, Cersei's hatred, Tywin's cold calculated stare, and then Tyrion, standing there done with it all, ready to burn the whole system down.
I wish I was the monster you think I am.
It's a phenomenal performance. Peter Dinklage delivers every word with so much anger, pain and pride that you can't look away.
I will not give my life for Joffrey's murder, so I will let the gods decide my fate. I demand a trial by combat.
In the end, Tyrion chose the truth, to stand against the lies rather than surrender, and I think it was that very act of defiance that made Oberyn approach him. Of course, the prince's motives were never simple. His resentment towards the Lannisters, his thirst for revenge, all played their part. But what makes Oberyn such a fan favorite, I think, is that beneath the charm and light-hearted dialogue, there is a profound sense of empathy, a rare softness in this otherwise harsh world.
Cersei always gets what she wants. And what about what I want?
In my opinion, the duel is the ultimate comparison of the optimistic versus pessimistic view of life. On one side stands the confident smiling prince, on the other the monstrous mountain.
You're going to fight that?
I'm going to kill that. He was 6'8", 420 pounds, and his sword was, it was like my height.
Have they told you who I am?
Some dead man. You live it, huh?
You killed her children.
Once again, the writing distills the very essence of Game of Thrones. The cruel truth that good, hopeful and humane characters almost never survive. The show elevates them, makes us care, and then tears them down in the most devastating ways. In this world, chasing justice usually means assigning your own death warrant, and somehow it still hits just as hard every single time.
Say it. Say her name.
Say it!
The death is so disgusting that I'm not gonna show it here, but it has to be said, this is the best orchestrated duel in the entire show. It has everything, the tension, the choreography, the emotional weight, and the brutal payoff.
I'll never die that badly again for the rest of my life.
I think you most certainly have made the top 3. Yeah,
right?
If not the
It would,
top.
right?
And I actually think there is a reason Oberyn's death had to be so brutal. It drives home the idea that the world of Game of Thrones takes no prisoners. That no matter how charismatic, skilled or righteous someone is, the outcome will still be the same. Oberyn's confident, optimistic view of there being integrity in this world makes the moment stand out. Because one second he owns the room, the next he's gone. Right after this roller coaster of an episode, we get the Watchers on the Wall, a battle that had been building throughout most of the series. What makes it so impressive is how it balances spectacle with character. It's not just an action set piece, it's deeply personal. One of my favorite parts is how Sir Alistair Thorne actually becomes kind of likable. After everything, he begins to respect Jon for what he stands for.
Do you know what leadership means, Lord Snow? It means that the person in charge gets second-guessed by every clever little twat with a mouth. But if he starts second-guessing himself, that's the end.
The moment adds another layer to an otherwise one-dimensional character, while also giving Jon a valuable lesson in leadership. The episode is full of moments like this, moments that elevate both the drama and the people. It even manages to slip in some funny dialogue.
I said knock and hold, you cunts! Does knock mean draw? No, sir!
But above all, it captures the true importance of the Night's Watch, what they stand to lose, how impossible their duty really is. And at the heart of it all is Jon Snow. As I mentioned earlier, he had slowly been taking over the leadership role within the Watch, and this is the episode where that transformation finally solidifies. It's incredibly satisfying to watch him grow, to see him evolve and to realize he's not just surviving anymore, he's leading.
Ed! You have the wall! If they try the madness again, drop fire on them! If the climbers get too high, drop the scythe on them!
There is so much I can touch on these approximately 50 minutes of non-stop action. For example, Gren reciting the oath in the tunnel with Mag the Mighty bearing down on them. The brilliant cinematography, the fact that both sides of the battle had characters you loved and hated, but the emotional resolution of the episode is definitely this. It captures the show's beating heart, the force that ignites literally every war and seals every fate. Love. Even if the Brothers of the Night's Watch eventually make the wildlings fall back, war always takes its own victims. In the span of a couple of episodes, so many significant characters had fallen, but perhaps the most significant one was about to take place in King's Landing.
And if you
I'm not
recall...
interested in hearing another one of your smug stories about the time you won. This isn't going to be one of those times.
The more I have delved into making this video, the more Tywin as a character just grows on me. He is so fascinating, so well acted, and watching him slowly get more and more frustrated was both exciting and unpredictable. Cersei really says it to perfection in this scene.
Everything they say is true about Jaime and me.
No.
Your legacy is a lie.
No. I don't believe you.
Yes, you do.
It brings us back to the opening scene and that smug face of his, only to realize that it's now very much a conflicting and panicked face. And going back to Tyrion, it's him who gets the last laugh. When Jaime sets him free, for a moment it feels like the nightmare is over. Maybe after all this pain, Tyrion could get a second chance somewhere far from King's Landing. But before he escapes, he takes one last detour, and it's there, in his father's chambers, that he finds Shay. The woman he loved, the person he risked everything for, now sleeping in the very bed of the man who destroyed his life. It's an image that says everything. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the irony of it all. Tyrion never wanted to hurt her, but in the moment it's no longer about love. It's about what love turned him into. And then he turns to the man who made him this way.
Tyrion. Who better to kill Tywin than Tyrion, because I've treated him appallingly all his life.
The death of Tywin isn't just revenge. It's the collapse of an entire idea. The idea that power, legacy and control can protect you from consequence. Tywin spent his whole life believing he could shape the world to his will, but in the end he dies the same as everyone else, powerless and exposed.
You knew I didn't poison Joffrey, but you sentenced me all the same.
It's poetic, really. The man who built his own house on pride, brought down by the son he never wanted.
You're no son of mine. I am your son. I have always been your son.
There is so much more of this season that I didn't have time to delve into today. Ramsay's chaos, Arya's journey, Littlefinger's plot, Sansa's growth, Brienne and the Hound's fight, dragons, and the three-eyed raven. But hopefully this gave you a trip down memory lane, and perhaps you saw something from a new perspective. Drop a comment if you'd like to see more Game of Thrones content. Otherwise, check out this video where I dive into what makes truly evil villains so unforgettable. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.